Welcome to the Alpha Bravo podcast, where we discuss everything real estate. Whether you're a beginner or you have some experience, we'll share some tips and experience to help you guys succeed. So I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm your host, Freddie.
And today we have a very special guest, one of our good friends, someone we collaborate with a lot here in the Charlotte area, someone we learn from a lot. And in my opinion, she's one of the more intelligent investors you're going to meet in the Charlotte area. So please welcome Angie Castro.
Angie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Finally got in the podcast.
Yeah, no, we're super excited to have you here, Angie. We've been a part of some of your journey as we've seen you growing a lot and everything. So for the people who don't know who you are, start us off a little bit with kind of what you're doing now and how you would kind of describe yourself as well.
Awesome. So we just actually launched Monarch Group Realty. It's a real estate firm here in Charlotte and surrounding areas. We also cover Triad. We started that in January. So far, we've been doing really great. Freddie's with us.
Hey.
Yay, Freddie.
Let's go.
Killing it.
Yeah, so a little bit of that. We do also flip and new construction.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You got you're a very busy woman, huh? You have a lot of roles, a lot of hats. I know when I call you, you answer the phone call. I'm like, damn, she's always working. How do you manage wearing multiple hats at the same time?
I think when one is, I have an assistant, Cielo helps me so much. So that's a big one. And then for the firm, we have Nicole as well, which is in the back side. So just kind of finding people that can help you do more. So that's a big thing. And then I work all the time. I don't all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have babies yet, so I think I'm in a stage of my life where I'm just like really hustling.
Hustle mode on.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have the brokerage, and you also do some investments on the side as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much time is the brokerage compared to like your investments?
I mainly focus on the brokerage. I think that's really like my true passion. And then I love doing investments because opportunities present themselves when you're in the industry. So we'll take advantage of those, but the firm really is my baby. It's what I'm really focusing on growing.
Right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so what kind of inspired you to even start your own brokerage? Was there like a key moment where you're like, I just got to do it myself, or?
Yeah. So I mean, I had been kind of searching for a small group that I felt a part of and I could collaborate with for a long time. When I started, in KW South Park. I went then to smaller brokerage. I went to Giving to Realty. Then I went to Evernest, the national brokerage. Then I went to EXP. So I was in this search of the right place, and I just felt like I could never find it anywhere. And I learned great things from every place I went to. But ultimately, I just thought, this thing I'm searching for, it's not out there. And it was like an investment-focused group. And it really wasn't out there. So it was like, I'll just open it. And I feel like there's, a lot of potential in having this. So.
No, that's dope. That's dope. And I remember when you was going through those, opening up the brokerage, it was like, yeah, I'm looking for a brokerage that is investor friendly. And at the same time, I was looking for something just like that. I want to be an investor and deal with investors, agents at the same time. And there was nothing out there until you went out and created that. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. So no, it's pretty dope hearing the idea and actually seeing it come alive. It's like now you have a brokerage. We're about to have the office pretty soon, so that's definitely going to bring a lot of good tools to help out our investors' clients.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of those agents that wear those two hats of, hey, I'll do a flip if I can, or you can open a renovations company, but also, hey, I can be an agent. They might find themselves really lonely in these big firms because there is just not a lot of people doing what you're doing. A lot of agents like to open doors and like, is the kitchen pretty? But do you want to go into a house that's falling apart and say, hey, we can do this, we can do that. I have the contractor for you. So it's a different mentality. Right. So finding those people and putting them together have been really fun.
Nice. It's like a one-stop shop if they go with one of our agents. Nice.
Awesome. So you took something that didn't already exist, and then so you had this idea where it was like, I see there is no firm that is really tailored for investors. It's more just like your traditional home buyers and things like that. And so you just said, all right, I'm just going to create one, and that's what Monarch Group is now, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys, are you targeted more on how are you targeting investors and those clients versus your normal traditional clients? Like how do you find them?
So, I mean, we actually do a lot of both. And a big thing we're actually speaking about it more today is that your home is your best investment. If you think of like big builders, like, Josh Swart, he got his first break and a lot of money to start building from an equity in his house. And that's a very common thing. A lot of flippers start from the equity of their home. So it's also helping people that want to buy a home not just because it's pretty, but they want to buy a home because they're seen as an investment. And I think that's a different need, because what do? You show them a house near a development that's about to come up, so it's going to go up in price. Or a house that you say, hey, you could rent the rooms, you could do this. So I think just marketing to those people specifically will get them. Whoever you market, you get. I think a lot of people market everybody, and then you're not really getting everybody. So because we're calling the specific, like not just on social media, we're on Bigger Pockets a lot. Podcasts like this, just anything we can do to put the name out there that, hey, if you want to invest in real estate, even through your primary home or flip or build, we're here for you. I think, yeah.
Nice.
I love it. So you talked a little bit about where you started before your brokerage. I want to take it even a little bit farther back. Talk about a little bit from like your ethnic background and kind of your journey from where you started from and to where you are now.
Sure. So I'm from Colombia. I got here in 2016 when I was 14 years old. And then, when I lived in Colombia, we had, I had a really good life. My family was very affluent there. And then, but I lived with my grandparents, so they helped us, they had a really good jobs and they did really well, so we lived really well because we lived with them. But then I moved here with my mom alone to Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Fayetteville. That was your first city here in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fayetteville. Nice.
We don't love, not playing, we do love Fayetteville. Like, let me be politically correct.
Right.
But no, then we came to Fayetteville, and I mean, it was definitely really hard to come from, a wealthy lifestyle to the U.S. And, my mom was a waitress at a Mexican restaurant, and just me and her, like, struggling and trying to make it, and it was just a completely different life. I came to school here, and I didn't speak any English, and then Fayetteville doesn't have a lot of Spanish-speaking people. So I had to learn English. I learned English in 3 months, and I feel like it was just necessity. I was like, I have to communicate.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. That learning English phase is. I remember watching like cartoons in English, and just all day watching cartoons in English and started memorizing the words. I'm like, oh, help means are you that? Oh, like, oh, great, thank you, Dora.
Yeah.
Just keep it moving. But it's crazy how like I remember it was a big challenge coming from South America to the States. It's a culture shock. You don't know your language. You don't know your friends are there. You don't know if the friend next to you is talking shit about you or what the case is. Until you start learning English, and that becomes like a breather. All right, now I know English, so let me just start. And I feel like people like that just came over here and struggled when they was a kid, we go in our lives with a chip in our shoulder because we already struggle a little bit. We already been punched in the gut by life. We're not able to communicate at school, and our grades are dropping. But it's not because I'm a bad student, because I honestly cannot comprehend what you're explaining to me. But and I carry that through my entire life, learning English and coming out like, well, if I could do that when I was a kid, there's nothing I can do. So I do have a lot of respect for people that come over here. There's a few of us, like a handful of people that were born in a different country and then moved over here in their teens. So they're kind of in between. They're not sure if, I'm fully Ecuadorian or American, because you grow up with both cultures at the same time. But it's pretty dope, man. Especially you coming over here to Fayetteville. Out of everywhere.
Yeah. And I think that says something a lot about you and your character, from having, from going from well off to then very humbled experience, struggling to make ends meet, and then working your ass off to where you are now, open up your own brokerage. I mean, that in itself is super, super, exciting, and just being able to, have that story to share with other people and help others who are struggling right now, because it's a very common theme. A lot of people are out there struggling, and so any way, you can help them and guide them in the right direction is very valuable. And I know you give a ton of value in your brokerage and everything. Freddie talks about all the time, all the trainings and stuff you guys have, and just trying to provide as much value as possible, not only for your team, but also your clients as well, right? So I think that's just an amazing story. And so what was like the first step you took from, you came to America, you learned English, you're working. What was the first like intro to real estate in general?
I helped my mom and her husband find a house. So I was just in school, but I was searching for them, and I helped them find a house. And I was like, this is the house. I think that was the first house I sold. I was like 16.
Yeah.
So
at 16, you sold a house at 16.
Pretty much. I mean, my clients they liked me, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the agent just had to fill the paperwork. I pretty much was like, this is the house we're going to buy.
You found it for them.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first experience. And then, coming from everything and having the struggle, if anything, just kind of fuel. It was a lot of fuel. It was like, okay, I will make it. And at any means necessary, we will make it.
Right.
And I think when you just accept that, you're just gonna hustle for it.
Yeah.
This is like a given, like we will make it. It's not if, we will, just the road together is long, but you just keep going.
Yeah, you believe in the dream that you had, and you're living that dream that you had a few years ago. So it's cool to see you, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and a lot of people go in life without realizing that they could do it. Like, maybe if I could do this, and they live with that maybe until like the 50, 60, until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it was just kind of cool to see the full circle moments, because I was just going on my diary that I wrote in 2019, right when I got to Charlotte. So I came to Charlotte, came to UNCC, and I was like, I was 18, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like who I wanted to be still. I knew I wanted to be successful, I just didn't know how. So I wrote in a paper, it was like, I watched a bunch of videos, it was like, I want to be a developer. And I wrote that on a page real big and left it, and I forgot about it. And just yesterday I was reading the diary, and I was like, I want to be a developer. I'm like, huh. Like, you do manifest things in some ways. I'm not a huge manifesting person, but I think in some sense it does work.
Yeah, unintentionally you manifesting stuff. Like when you visualize your dreams, I did the same thing. You know how many times I saw myself quitting Wells Fargo? I saw myself walking in there, but I'm out of here. Yeah. But with that unintentionally, you're manifesting stuff in your brain, and then now you're realizing that you're living the dream that you had a few years ago. Like, I could do this again. And that just adds up to your confidence. And like, I could do this. I could do this again. I could do this again. So good to see you, man. It's been a long journey. Struggled a little bit, but I feel like that struggle was necessary for you to have the gut instincts to go forward after what you really want.
Yeah, the struggle definitely was necessary. And humble you need to get humble. I needed to get humble, and I got very humble.
Yeah. We all need to be humbled. I think it says, there's so many people that, if they don't experience any kind of challenges in life, then, they don't know what it takes to get through a hard time or crack down and be like, okay, I got to focus, got to work my ass off. We face a lot of challenges. Even before me and Freddie met, Freddie has faced challenges, I face my own challenges, you face your challenges, and that's what makes you into who you are today. You're quite literally sculpting, you have to go through these hard times to sculpt out like this, in your mind, the perfect person you want to be or whatever. You have to go through these hard times to make that happen, right? So switching gears a little bit, I know that you were heavily involved in a lot of different meetups and groups, especially targeted more for women in the community in business and real estate. What are some of those groups, and like why is that important for you?
Yeah, so we do the Charlotte Women Business Group. Really, it's important because there's a lot of meetups, and sometimes women go through different struggles. Not better, not less than men. We just have different struggles. And sometimes it's cool to be in a room with people that can understand that. Because, as a girl, you do a lot to get taken seriously. And you push a lot and you put this front. So being surrounded by other women that know what it's to put this face and go out there in the world and be like, okay, I'm entering a male-dominated industry and I'm going to kick ass and I'm going to go, it can get a little tiring. So even it not just refuels me to meet with this woman, but also I think it refuels them to just sit down and understand, like, hey, I know what it's like, you know?
Yeah, no, that's pretty dope. And who usually goes to these meetups? Is just realtors or is it like investors?
No, all kinds of women. The women that own like beauty salons, women that are there in industries like technology, website developments. There's a girl that does insurance. So just different things. Anna is there. She's a good friend. She's an owner for El Puro, so like restaurant owners, just different types of entrepreneurship.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that's important to go with your crew, with your people that you feel that you could relate stories to. Just like you was looking for your brokerage, right, to fit in. You building this community of women, you know, that goes to male dominant industries and share values. I think that's pretty dope, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the challenges that you've had to face, and some of the things you've done to help overcome those challenges?
I think, you know, they getting started, it's a little tough. I think that was the big thing. Because I got my license when I was 18, and the first people that's usually your client is your friends and your family. And my family is in Colombia, so they're not buying houses from there. And my friends are 18, so they're definitely not buying houses here.
Right.
Like, they don't even have a credit score.
You're right.
And then better friends.
I did hit that realization. So it was just kind of like, okay, where do I fit? What do I like to do in this industry? I knew I wanted to do something in real estate, but like, where? And I think that was a just weird age because you don't know who you are yet. You don't know what you're capable of. Right. Like, you have these dreams and you're like, oh, I'll be successful, but I'm like, well, how? Yeah. And where's the road there? Like, I was trying to search for that road. So at that time, I was in a very traditional brokerage, and investors kept walking in the door. Like, they would come in the door. And it was in a time where nobody had, like, they wouldn't share leads with you. So these investors will come in and everyone will ignore them. Like, they'll just be like, oh, just don't pay attention to investors. They're such a waste of time. And the owner of the brokerage actually told me that. Because I was like, hey, maybe I can focus on these investors. So when they call, why don't you send them to me? He's like, oh, you don't want to do that. They're such a waste of time. And I was like, and it's a normal thought. Like, a lot of real estate firms think this way. So I was like, well, if nobody wants to take care of them, then I will take care of them. And I will learn how to work with them. And it was hard to learn how to work with them because they have a completely different set of needs, which is, hey, well, how will it cost the renovation for this house? When you don't know anything about renovations or anything, you don't have the answers to these questions, but you learn slowly. So I think it was like a year of just learning and helping them with no money. Like, zero closings, just helping them and figuring out what they needed and what they will close, what deals work, what deals did not work, why majority of deals did not work, how, and, you know, why the numbers weren't making sense until we could find the one that made sense.
So you stuck with it, though. You stuck with it. You didn't get no payments as far as monetary value, but you got lessons. And people pay thousands of dollars for those lessons. Especially if you get to, like, oversee a big investor, you get in his brain, like, why do you buy this deal? You know, when we have a deal to sell, and this big investor, I know he buys a lot, tells me, hey, I can't buy this deal. Wait, why? Right? Because obviously there's something that I'm missing there. Well, I can't buy it because, I don't know, it's the traffic there is too big, or whatever the case might be. There was something that was missing. So I write that down, put it in my pocket, keep it on. But you tackle it the smart way, which everybody was not going for that. You know, that's the unpaved road, I guess, if you want to call that. Nobody wanted to deal with these investors until you came in. I'll deal with them. No money whatsoever, but you got those lessons there. Right now, it's worth gold to you because you're a sword with double edge. You're a realtor and you're also an investor, so you could do it either way. If I don't buy it, my investor will buy it. So that's pretty dope. You stay in focus in there in such an early age too. That's what is very impressive because I wasn't thinking that when I was 18. I wasn't thinking that. I went, did different things. When my friends was going to college, I'm like, I go to college. I ended up joining the Marine Corps. That was my path. But a lot of kids, I feel like when they're 18, they're crossroads and just 90% follow the crowd. just go to the safe path, which is, go university to get a college degree and whatnot. Other ones get lost in the sauce, and the other ones do whatever they want to do. But it seems like you made a smart move right there, because that was a very pivotal point of your life. You could have gone somewhere else, but you stuck in there, no payment for 1 year, and just get those lessons in.
And I think that's part of the reason why I personally think doing that at a young age is a true test of your intelligence and also your surroundings, because you kind of had to do it, right? Because of coming to living in a new place and having to make something of yourself, right? So I noticed from our conversations, I've seen in you where you're able just to quickly grasp something, digest it, understand it, and then implement it right away. Freddie can do the same thing. He can take something and just focus on that thing, implement it, and then learn from it, and then move on to the next thing. And I think that's something that's very valuable and also very rare that a lot of people do. They may read something or take in something, but then they just kind of disregard. Okay, I might have that, but they don't fully understand it and then implement it and then make sure it's working, not working, test it, and then add on something else. I think that's how you're able to build your brokerage up to what it is now. A relatively quick build that you've had there as well. And I know you have a lot of plans to continue to grow that also. So I see that that intelligence, that a lot of people I don't see a lot in. Honestly, it's very rare. It's very rare. So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, I know you're quite the history buff. I know you love to learn and everything. For your passion, how has your passion for history kind of shaped how you lived your life and your brokerage and real estate? I think there's you have quite. Well, let me answer that question first, and we'll dive more into that.
Okay, I think that's a deep question. So, how my passion for just history helps. I think it's just reading about other people's mistakes and stories. Growing up, I was really a passionate reader. I still try to, just way less time. But hearing the stories from a third point view and their life stories and where the mistakes were made really helps me put myself in a third point view and just look at my life, not from my actions, but just as a person that's watching and say, okay, what are you doing right now? What are you making mistakes? Where could you improve? And that's a big thing, the constant trying to improve. So yeah, I think the biggest lessons from reading and learning about other people's stories is just seeing the pivotal moment that they messed up on, or where they made it and why they made it. So yeah, I think that's the main thing.
Do you have a favorite historical figure that you've learned, that you've taken some lessons and applied them to your life, or anyone in particular?
I love Winston Churchill. I've definitely read a lot of his biographies. I think I really liked his thinking. And I think one of the things that shaped him the most, he did a big mistake as a commander in the army and lost some people. Or in the military, not the army specifically. But he lost some people, and after that he was like, I'll never make mistakes again. Years later, he takes over England and
nice.
Does, huge things. A big thing of that I love too, it was they provide, how do you say that? He made certain companies private. So at those years, England had a lot of classism. So depending on your class, you'll be better than others. And depending on your class, you could get certain spots in government. And one of them was in charge of creating the airplanes that will help them in the war. And so he was this guy that, he had all the pedigree, he had a really nice blood, and that's why he had this job. And Churchill came in and was like, I'm taking you out and I'm gonna put an entrepreneur that knows nothing about airplanes. He owns this huge newspaper company and just a wonderful entrepreneur. He's like, I'm gonna put you here because if you can figure out how to grow a company from zero and make it this multi-billion-dollar company, you can figure out how to make airplanes. And that actually helped them change the war completely. Wow. So instead of looking at the class or who you are, your pedigree, he came in and say, you have the qualities that we need. Yeah. And I really like that.
Put the underdog in there, man. I love that. Love that.
So with your brokerage and everything that you know, is there one thing that you've implemented into your business or into your brokerage that really kind of set things off and had the biggest impact? I know that creating a business and everything, there's a lot of things that go into place, but is there one thing where it's like, this really took me to the next level?
I think the branding part, learning how to brand, it's just a big thing. And we're really pushing forward with that. We are in a digital age, and I think if people don't know who you are and what you do, it's a problem because they don't know how to find you. Right. Because if you're searching for an agent that does real estate investments in Charlotte, if I look up agents that do real estate in Charlotte, you need to come up.
Right.
So, because there's people searching. So just branding us as that, pushing that branding continuously and getting in front of as many eyes as possible, that's really a big thing. Yeah.
Nice branding. I know you mentioned this in our coaching calls too about branding and stuff. I don't know anything about branding.
Yeah.
But no, she really touched on that. You got to make yourself visible. We did a deep dive on my Google algorithm, whatever. But you do need to make yourself visible. Nowadays, it's just like, it's easier to reach thousands of people doing this video than before, like in the 90s. You have to go person, door by door, knocking. It's like, hey, I'm a realtor. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, just pick up your phone and hey, I'm a realtor and this is what I do.
Yeah, and you don't have to go viral, right? Because people think, oh, if I'm not getting 10,000 views, I'm gonna stop doing these videos. Yeah. And that's not the point, because even if you get 800 views, that's 800 people that you reach that listen to you that otherwise will have never heard about you. That you're not, are you gonna call 800 people today? You won't, but you're somehow reaching them. So that's the power of continuously putting it out there.
Right, I mean, in today's age, your social media is basically like your business card. It's like, this is what I do. Mm-hmm. This is an inside look at what I'm doing, how I can help you. And so I think it's very important, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just one post a week or something, just something out there that someone can see that and be like, oh, she's a realtor. Oh, that way, come time to buy a house, it's like, any realtors I know Angie, and so it could be something as little as that, just to have some type of presence that people know what you do and how you can help.
Yeah, and big validation too, because when you have like a good profile that's visible, people might not find you there. They might find you on a blog. They might find you on a website. They might find you in Facebook. If somebody comment like, oh, what agents? Mm-hmm. Here I recommend Angie. What they're gonna go do is, whatever they hear your name, they're gonna go check that on social media. It's just an instant thing now, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. So It's like that stamp to say, hey, I was recommended 4 agents. Out of them, your profile stuck up the most, and that's why I want to work with you. It might be necessarily that you found me on social media, but my social media sold you on me, and that's my job. That I need to present the social media that will sell you on Monarch.
Nice. That's smart. Yeah.
Perfect. And so, looking ahead, I know you have big plans with Monarch Group. With the future of real estate, with the technology that's coming out, all this stuff, is there anything that you're looking to implement to kind of put you and your team kind of ahead of the game with any kind of new technology, or how are you preparing for real estate in the future?
So, we have to become more systematic, and that's just going to free up a lot more of your time. Normally in agency, you have a transaction coordinator that can just send your docs back and forth. Mm-hmm. That's great. But what we need, it's a little bit more organization than that. So we are, consulting with different companies that will implement AI into our company, and I think everybody needs to learn how to do that. The thing is, if you're not a tech person, like I'm not, if you ask me, hey, implement AI, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I can do a ChatGPT, proper description, but it can do so much more than that. You can ask AI to create 12 months of emails for your past database and ask them, hey, I want it this way. I want the next 12 months of emails that's going to reach out my clients to be personable, to talk about some sort of investments, and just tailor it down. Then, of course, the human factor, will go in and fix them up. But you can just start implementing this.
The technology that we have nowadays. Yeah, I'm very advocate for technology. I love it. With AI, when AI came through, I was like, yeah, we need somebody like a chat box, and whenever they make believe that you're chatting with me, but it's in reality is an AI that is chatting with this person on the website. but this AI is trained to lead you to a phone call with me. You know, so that's just staying ahead of the curve. I always say this, I don't want my kids to teach me something. You know, like back in the days when internet just came out, you go to your parents or whatever, the grown-ups, hey, you know you could do this on no, we don't do that. We don't make payments online. That's how they steal your, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that mistake of being afraid of technology. But I guess we're in this industry, we gotta stay always ahead of the technology, always implementing new things. We're not gonna reinvent the wheel. Real estate is what it is, but there's different tools that coming up nowadays that you could utilize them to reach out to more people, to make everything very self-sufficient. You don't need that big of a group. You just need an AI, a few SAPs here and there, man, you'll be good to go.
Right.
And yeah, I've really been learning how to use it in the emails a lot more, and it's actually quite helpful because English is not my first language. So when I type out an email, I take a while making sure it's grammatically correct, and just taking that away, it's a big thing.
English is my first language, and I still do that. Like, I'll write something, and I'll say, ChatGPT, make this sound better. You know?
Yeah.
Tone friendly, professional. I do
Right.
the exact same thing because everything that I have in my brain, I just dump it. Okay, here, ChatGPT. You do the work for me. Go ahead and create this email.
Yeah, I love these emails. Like with the rates email, we sent an email to all of our database saying, hey, rates just went down. I didn't type that email. I went to AI and I was like, hey, type an email about how the rates went down and the benefits for clients and the benefits for investors. Came out. Of course, I did a couple of twitches, but this wonderful written email that looks like it took me an hour to write was done in 15 minutes. Sent that out to over 500 people, so many emails back. They're like, great.
Nice. Technology.
I love it.
It's great. Well, we'll wrap it up. I got one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. So, thinking back to whenever you're 14, coming back, and you're just getting ready to get started into your journey, what's the best piece of advice from what you know now you would give yourself, your younger self?
Kind of just, not just keep going, but definitely believe that you are special and you can make things work. And the world will try to tell you you're not special, but you are. So, sometimes confidence just comes from doing the thing and it works out. You're like, great, I can make this work. But even if you haven't had the track record yet, just believe that you can make it if you just keep going and keep pushing.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. Well, Angie, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. Love to see where you've come from and what you have, what you're working on now. Tell everyone where they can find you or anything they can do to look you up and help you out.
Yeah, definitely follow us on Instagram at Monarch Group CLT and Angie Castro Realtor.
Perfect. And as always, you can find us at alphabravonc.org or on Instagram and TikTok at alphabravonc. And until next time, guys.
See you guys.